We welcome you into NHL Live along with Keith Jones and Eddie Olczyk. I'm Catherine Tappan. Just go ahead and get it off your chest.
What? That was a great open.
It's like you, Jonesy, before the show tonight.
Well, this is what more like me. Settle down. I'm here. I've got you covered.
I think I had a Mangiapane there earlier today.
You did.
Come on, Five. Come on. Come on, Barachos. Get up, get up, get up. Yes, 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 yes. If it's a race of any kind, Eddie Olczyk is there cheering on his favorite.
Talk about needing to smile and laugh a little bit. These two guys make us do that just with their best of. Eddie Olczyk and Keith Jones join us on Lunch Talk Live. We saw, by the way, poor Catherine Tappan. Catherine and Liam from time to time have to deal with this all together when Edzo's in the studio, which is very difficult. Happy birthday to Catherine, by the way. It is her birthday. And what a birthday gift, not having to deal with you two guys on this day. How you holding up, Jonesy? What's going on?
I'm holding up fine, Mike. It's great to see you guys, by the way. It's kind of a pleasant way to go about doing things. It's been a long time since we've been in the same room. So looking forward to when we get back together. But this will do for now. What about you, Edzo?
Oh, all good. Great to be with you guys. Look at this line here, Mike. We got you on the left side. I'm on the right side. We got Jonesy in the middle, man. This is the donut line. No center here. Look at this line right here. This is unbelievable. But everybody's doing good here. So we're sending well wishes to everybody out there. But we're going day to day and just looking for, just looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. And, it's good to be on with you. And boy, oh boy, you lead off with Jim Nantz, and now you come to Jonesy and me. That's a hit by pitch. You just hit a grand slam, and now you got a hit by pitch with me and Jonesy on your show.
Yeah. Sometimes these things write themselves, and you don't really have to acknowledge it, but I'm glad you did. Edzo, you first, and then Jonesy. You guys were part of the 94-95 NHL season when the lockout was happening, and there was great uncertainty for players, right? How do you compare what's going on right now? Obviously, circumstances are different, but how do you compare the uncertainty for players, organizations now compared to what you guys experienced? Edzo, you first.
Well, that year, we went to training camp, actually, Mike. We went to a full training camp, and then there was a disagreement between the owners and the players, and then there was a work stoppage for a couple of years. And I remember that like yesterday because a couple of months before that, I was playing with the New York Rangers. We had just won a Stanley Cup in New York. Had waited 54 years to win that cup in New York. And, to not be able to go to work and not be able to play certainly, was hurtful. But look, this is a way different animal here. I mean, this is something that is just not in our own little hockey world. This is obviously much bigger and much more important. So I think now for the league, we've played every team has played 68 games. Everybody's on hold. Hopefully we can get back to some sort of normalcy whenever that is. But just walking through a work stoppage compared to trying to work through this is obviously two different hands for sure, and hopefully and I know we will, but at some point we'll all get through this.
There was a certain level of excitement that came with the return of hockey that year because there was times that we thought we might miss an entire season. So I do think there'll be a similar feeling, although a much greater one. I think the players will be so relieved, number one, to be back playing hockey, but most importantly, that things are in a much better place than when they were when the season was put on hold. Obviously, what's going on around us is the most important thing right now, and hockey returning would also mean, in the bigger picture, that things are getting better. So I think there would be a certain level of excitement, but I think it's going to be far greater than we've ever seen before, Mike.
Jonesy, I'll let you start off this time. Do you think we need to finish a regular season in any way, or would it be reasonable to jump right to the playoffs if and when we get back to hockey?
Under these circumstances, I think it's reasonable to just jump in and start the playoffs. I think there would be an understanding amongst everybody, including teams that were on the bubble, that with the uncertainty that's surrounded everything that's gone on here, just having the playoffs back would be an unbelievably great thing. And having a playoff that is set up in the way that we've had them set up over the last 20 or 25 years, the best of 7 series, I think ideally that's what we want. and I would be totally okay with us returning and just starting with the playoffs when we get back.
Yeah, Mike, and I think time-wise is certainly, and I mean, I know you had the commissioner on a couple of days ago, and again, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be hundreds and hundreds of scenarios out there, but you know, whatever is going to be best in for the game. You know, again, I mentioned earlier, all the teams have played at least 68 games. Some teams have played 70, 71. You know, do you go back and start the playoffs as Jonesy is talking about from the teams that have, you know, you go back to the 68 game mark and then you just say, okay, wherever you are at the 68 game mark, then those teams get in. Do you play a little round robin? Mm-hmm. Maybe the teams are really close. I mean, there's so many different scenarios, but that'll be a great day when hockey is back. And hopefully it will be sooner than later.
It certainly appears like we're getting closer. I mean, things are getting better, and so we're starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. And all I can say is I'm really hopeful that gets here quicker, and that we can get back out and enjoy watching the guys play the game that we love watching them play.
And Edzo, I'll start this round with you. How about how fast you can get back to playing quality hockey? Obviously, you have teams that are together for a several-month stretch. Now you're getting to the best games of the year, the playoffs, and now we have this long interruption. We all understand why. How long do you think from a green light, whatever that is, full-fledged testing, everything else, from a green light to being able to play hockey, how long a window in your estimation would that be?
Well, obviously, Mike, everybody's on the same playing field, so you know, look, I mean, some teams are going to get healthy, right? I mean, Seth Jones reportedly is skating now. He was out with an ankle injury. Jake Gensel of the Pittsburgh Penguins was out with a bad shoulder injury. You know, could he be back if we're back playing hockey in July, August, September, whatever it might be? But I would say, Mike, to the heart of your question, I think 2 weeks for sure that guys would need to be around. Obviously, you're going to give them some time off in those 14 days or whatever it is, but I would be surprised if the Players Association didn't ask for at least 2 weeks of a so-called mini training camp before we get to any sense of hockey, whether it is the regular season, finishing that, or we go directly right to the playoffs. But I would say 2 weeks for sure.
The good news, Mike, in my eyes, is that it's a level playing field. No matter what that timeline is, it'll be the same for every team. So no one's gaining an advantage. And the fact that we're probably going to see the healthiest teams we've ever seen entering the National Hockey League playoffs is going to make for some very intriguing moments when the playoffs roll around.
And it doesn't favor anybody, Mike. I've heard people talking about, you know, like certain teams and, you know, just, again, projecting what it might be or whatever, younger teams or whatever. Look at it. Whatever the scenario is and whoever ends up, if we do go directly to the playoffs, look at, I think you could roll that octagon down the street and whatever team pops up, Jonesy, there are 8 sides to an octagon. I don't know if you know that or not, but whatever side pops up, you can make an argument that team has a chance, because this is going to be absolutely unpredictable. Who can catch that so-called lightning in a bottle once we get back playing?
Might be a good name for a horse, Ed. So maybe octagon would be good, but it might stop.
At least the horses are running, Jonesy. At least the horses are running.
It might stop on the way, though, if its name's octagon. So we don't want that.
I always like to say if all of us hosts were quarantined, if anybody could just host the show, it would be Jonesy, because he takes us from one point to the next point better than anyone. He saw Edzo with the horse over his shoulder there in the home office. Edzo, it has been interesting. This should be the time that, in addition to the Stanley Cup, we're preparing for the Edzo-palooza, going back and forth from the playoffs to the Derby preps, and then the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont, and all that stuff's on hold, obviously. What have you been hearing from your horse racing buddies and the trainers talking about this gap right now where we don't know what it's going to look like in a lead up to the potential Derby in September? Yeah, well, it opens up, Mike, and you're a big part of our great horse racing family at NBC, and you know, the unknown, right? Like, you could argue, and we saw it a couple of years ago with Justify, you know, only needing 100+ days to get ready and win the Kentucky Derby and then win the Triple Crown. You know, there may be a horse that has just run maybe once right now that has an opportunity to qualify for the Kentucky Derby in the first Saturday in September. So this is really uncharted territory. He's got a big race on Saturday in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. The Arkansas Derby
some Derby points on the line. But you know, horses that may be primed for the first Saturday in Mike, you got to try to keep these horses at the top of their game for the next 3-4 months, and maybe with not a big opportunity to run these horses because a lot of the tracks are not running. So you may like a horse today, maybe like Tis the Law or the Big Three for Bob Baffert. But, you know, what are these horses going to be and look like in 4 and 5 months? So that's the great unknown. And hopefully we have that opportunity to be in Louisville in the first Saturday in September to get ready for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. You saw Trackside Live with our friends at TVG. That'll be on NBCSN again coming up Friday through Sunday at 4 Eastern. Don't forget Hockey Happy Hour. If you didn't catch an encore presentation of NHL Pause and Rewind last night, it was a lot of fun. Then we're going to take you back to a memorable night, Rangers and the Kings, Game 5 of the 2014 Stanley Cup Final. That's hockey tonight on NBCSN. Jonesy, Edzo, it is great to see your smiling faces. We miss you guys. Hope you and your family stay safe, and we'll be in touch soon. Okay, boys?
You too, Mike. Good to see you. Jonesy, see you, pal.
See you guys. Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.